Welcome back to the Pat and Hilal show featuring a one and only
Juliana.
Juliana. Juliana just got back from New Zealand. Yeah?
Yes, I did. Back on Wednesday.
Short trip.
Yeah, about a week or so it was good.
Yeah.
And you're Kiwi.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I am a Kiwi. I've been in Australia longer than New Zealand, but still a Kiwi in here.
Yes. Tell us whereabouts in New Zealand.
So I'm from a little place called Kapiti, which is about an hour north of Wellington on the North Island of New Zealand.
Do you enjoy your time over there?
I did. It was so good to see everybody again. And when you live somewhere, and particularly when you're quite young, like I moved to Australia when I was 10.
Yeah.
So when I just lived the first 10 years of my life in New Zealand, I never did any of the fun tourist stuff that you do when you go somewhere else. So
Right.
the ability to go back and see my family and do all those fun things that you don't do when you live somewhere was really good.
Wow.
That's awesome. What was one main highlight of your trip from this holiday?
It was definitely the Gallipoli exhibit at Te Papa. For those who don't know, Te Papa Tongariro is the National Museum of New Zealand. It had changed a lot since I was there last, but they have a wonderful Gallipoli exhibit on, which is on until April 2022. It was supposed to run just for the centenary of the First World War, but it was so popular they extended its tenure.
We went there, Pat. It's one that we went
Amazing.
to. Yeah.
I told Juliana last night, I learnt more in that expedition.
Exhibition.
Is it expedition or
It's
exhibition?
an exhibition. An expedition is an adventure. An exhibition is
I
a
feel like we're on an adventure. I learned more in that exhibition, like about Anzac and Gallipoli, and about, the Ottomans, than I have 27 years on this planet.
Yeah.
Everyone. Education in schools in regards to the First World War is very much slanted towards a propaganda point of view. That exhibit was very much about, here's what happened, so deal with it right now.
Yeah.
There was no rose coating in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the wax figures are unreal.
And the wax. Did you see the one where the guy was eating? I think it was
The bully beef.
The bully beef.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Which would have been the only thing you would have been eating for months and months on end.
Yes.
Bully
All the
beef
flies and all that.
Yeah, but that's why there was so much
it was
illness.
No, it was fantastic because it was very much like being in France. For those who don't know, I've seen the battlefields, the Western Front in France. Very much like being back there and seeing their museums. They don't go quite all out with the figures, but it was still very much the here's what happened aspect. There was no sense of trying to rose coat it or tint it, and gave a lot of stories, a lot of a human perspective, not just a military perspective.
They were factual. Yeah.
And they looked after one another. Like that was there was mateship.
Oh yeah, there was
you
certainly,
know?
it's important to acknowledge there was the camaraderie and there was the taking care of each other, but I think it's also important that we don't get too caught up in that because, thousands upon thousands of young men just in that one campaign, never ever coming home.
Yeah.
My great-grandfather was in that campain.
Was he in that campaign?
He was in the Otago battalion. I worked out because he enlisted for the army, would have gone to Gallipoli because that is where all the Australians and New Zealanders went first. He was back home by December. He'd been wounded, he got shot in the shoulder, and he worked as a janitor at the Otago Dental School for the rest of his life. And I worked out from that exhibit, I reckon I could pinpoint when he would have been wounded. Just taking in the time it takes to get from Turkey back to New Zealand by steamship, I reckoned I could pinpoint exactly when he would have been wounded.
Yeah.
What day did you
Have you
when we
oh yeah.
What day, what time? I reckon you give her a minute, she'll get it.
I don't remember.
I love when you tell this story.
I don't remember what day, but I will tell the story of how I met this wonderful lady. So I'd been doing at Good Life Taylor's Lakes, where everything started. I had been just doing some classes, and I just got my first job in childcare. And I wanted to work on strengthening my core because I knew back injuries are a really big thing that's very common in early years learning for educators. So I wanted to work on that. Walked up to the front desk and I said to the guy, I'm looking for a trainer. I wanted to be a woman, and that was initially my only criteria. He said, "Oh, what are you looking to train?" And I said, "Oh, I'm really wanting to strengthen my core." And he walked me over to all the photos of the trainers on the wall at Good Life, and he pointed to Hilal, and he said, "I'm a big fan of Hilal."
Who said that?
I can't remember his name. It was a guy. He was bald, had darkish kind of skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he pointed to 2 other ladies, and contact details are up on those posters, so I took them down.
Yeah.
I sent texts to all 3 of them saying who I was, what I was after, and this one was the only one who got back to me. She said, "Hi Juliana, really excited to hear from you.
That's how I do.
Yeah, let's work out a time to get together at Good Life."
Yeah.
So we went and we sat down in that little lounge area at the front of Good Life.
Yeah.
Sat down working out my goals, and it just all went from there.
And that was in, now, what year was this in? Was it in 2012 or 13?
No, it wouldn't have been 12. It would have been, what are we now, 19? I think it would have been 13, because I qualified in 2013.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, do we count 13, 14, or is it 14, 15? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 7 years! You know what?
Together.
You know what they say when you have a friendship with someone for more than 7 years, it's for life.
Yep.
What are some of the
Your
things that
achievements?
have? What are some of the things that have changed since you met Hilal?
Yeah.
With your more fitness and health related.
I've certainly done exercises I never would have believed I could do. When I first met Hilal, I couldn't even get to a horizontal squat.
Yes, I remember.
I just would stand up there with my bum in the air, feeling like some stupid chicken trying to lay an egg.
And a horizontal squat usually means your squat is not parallel, which means your knees and hips are not in line. So most people, when they squat, they pretty much don't know how to. They go half because they don't have the mobility to get low enough. And you had knee issues, right?
I didn't have the knee issues then.
Okay.
The knee issues are a fairly new phenomenon, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But a couple of months training with Hilal, and I could squat properly. I couldn't get very low.
You go to parallel, which was awesome.
So I could do it, and I could do it with a medicine ball as well, which was exciting. When she first started the medicine ball, I said, "I won't be able to get up." She said, "Of course you can."
Yeah.
And that's very Hilal. You say, "I can't." She goes, "Of course you can."
Yeah.
And then if you can't do it, she finds a way to make sure you can do it next time.
Yes. And your planks, remember your planks?
Yes. So I also did my first nutrition challenge with Hilal at Good Life before I came here. And my big fitness goal within that was I wanted to be able to do 1 push-up, because I couldn't do a single push-up. And Hilal said, "Okay, let's work on planks." And I went from holding a 2-second plank to, by the end of it, what were we?
You were like, it was more than 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3-4 minutes.
And I think it was around 4, close to 5. It was between the 4 and 5 minute mark, which was huge.
And I got that push-up.
Yes.
I got that push-up. It was very exciting.
What about when I told you that, I've decided that me and Pat have decided that we're going to open up like this place. We're going to hopefully start in the next 6 months. And when I told you, and I was like, look, I'm happy to continue here, but eventually this is where everything's in groups. Like, how did you feel then? And
I was really scared, because I'd seen Pat around Good Life, and I was actually really terrified of him. I confess, I was scared to death of him.
Hilal, you're funny. So Hilal would always tell me, "You gotta smile more. You gotta smile. Why don't you ever smile?" I'm like, "It's 6 o'clock in the morning. That's why I'm not smiling." I'm like, "Why are you smiling so early? What do you mean drinking in the morning?" Anyway.
And when I was doing the challenge with Hilal at Good Life, she told me about the group classes. She goes, "Oh, me and my friend run them. We just meet in front of the library." And I said, oh, who is it? And she goes, oh, it's Patrick. Have you seen Patrick? And that was the end of me ever. I never went to any of those group sessions. I was so scared.
It was boot camp. Because I wanted her to get a feel of like the environment and people, and to meet like David and Johnny and all that stuff. And then she's like, no thank you, not my thing at the moment.
Yeah, that's probably what I said. That sounds like me.
Yeah.
But then I did, we stayed at Good Life for a little bit, and then I came here, and Hilal was amazing. She said, we'll still do one-on-one for a bit here, while she helped me build up my confidence and get more comfortable. And Pat also became less scary, because he'd walk in while I was doing my one-on-one and he'd go, hey Juliana, how's it going? And he would be smiling for once.
Yeah.
He learns how to smile.
Smile at Juliana. Smile, Juliana.
And then I started doing the group classes.
Yeah.
So what was that transition like from only wanting like, you know, a female trainer one-on-one you felt comfortable with, to transitioning into a whole group's environment? What was that like?
It wasn't as scary as I thought, and I remember initially your classes here were quite small in size anyway, and everybody was a former client of one of you two, so everybody sort of knew. And when you'd sort of go, oh, you know, I train with lots, like, oh, I did too, and me, and also me.
Yeah.
So there was no sense of trying to break into something already established, because everything was so new anyway.
Yeah.
And now, what are we?
How do you find Pat now?
That's not scary.
Alright.
Now you have 2 soldiers next to you. And together we become 3.
So, what is the difference between like one-on-one training and group training? Is there like much of a difference?
Look, I suppose they both have their pros, and they work really well together. I suppose one of the great I have to stop doing that. This finger. Sorry, everybody. One of the great pros of one-on-one training is you can sort of tailor it. You can go, I really want to focus on this, I want to work on this, and it can happen.
Yeah.
So that is one of the great pros of it. I suppose one of the cons of one-on-one training is you've got your trainer to share in your achievements with, but nobody else really knows. It's very...
You didn't have an Emily.
Very close. Yeah, I didn't have an Emily. I didn't have an and with them, again, with a group, you've got that great pro of there's everyone around you who's working on, might be different things, like at weights, or it could be the same things in a cardio class, and you're all sort of working together. You get that wonderful energy with working together. But I suppose one of the cons of it is that you can't just sort of break off and and that, you know, if you want to, for argument's sake, if you're focusing on your running, but the theme of the cardio class that day is skipping, you can't just go and start randomly running. But they've got their pros, they've got their cons, but they do complement each other well.
And do you find that your transition has been a positive one, or do you find you're like, oh, I wish I still had did those one-on-ones? Like, how do you feel?
Look, it's been very positive, I think, and I think finding weights was what made it really positive for me. I'm not a cardio person. Like, some people just love their cardio. Not me. Not me. But finding weights was really good. I miss my stretching, I must admit.
Yes. Our PNF stretching at the end. Yes.
Yes, I miss it, but and I have very fond memories of sitting in that little room at Good Life doing those brain gymming exercises.
Yes.
But on the whole, I have really enjoyed transitioning into group training, and I think you were fantastic in the way that you helped me transition into it. It was like, all right, I'll get her used to the environment, and then I'll get her used to Pat, and then I'll tell her that she's got to come to the group training session.
You know what I found really interesting, and it was a very unique combination of team camaraderie, not so much from me and Hilal, but you and a very special member here, Emily. You guys have been you've done 2 programs.
2 weights programs together,
Together, and I just can see, like, you guys warm up together, you guys do the sets together, you always encouraging little things like between sets, you got this, like little things like that. How is it having Emily being in the trenches with you doing the work. Shout out to Emily.
Hey.
What's that been like?
Look, so it's great having someone, someone who's there, and like other weights programs I've done, there's been someone within, someone I'm doing leg day with, someone I'm doing arm day with, whatever. But often we've all been at very different levels.
Yeah.
Me and Emily are at a fairly similar level, not exactly the same.
Same but different.
So it's very much, you've got someone who is like, oh my god, this is heavy, and they're like, yeah, I know, it's so heavy.
Yeah.
So rather than having that conversation with someone who might be just someone like Andrew who just lifts like anything, and they're being really empathetic, but it's sort of like, oh, it's not heavy for me anymore. When you've got that person who's a bit more at your level, it's like, yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
And just having that, someone, just because people underestimate what a boost it is to hear someone go, you can do it, come on. Just those little things, and people don't give that enough credit. People go, oh, maybe they don't want me yelling at them, they might be concentrating, but that little boost of like, oh, someone's watching me, somebody wants me to do a good job.
Yeah.
And for me and Hilal, when we started doing this group training, what we found was very powerful was the fact that you guys would cheer each other on like throughout the whole session, and that is more empowering and more motivating for everyone involved.
Absolutely.
Like, there's one thing me and Hilal, like, hey, come on, you can do it. The one thing, someone next to you that's doing the work with you, hey, we can do it.
Yeah.
Very powerful, right?
And I think when you meet people and you're like, this person's a gem, you're one of those, so I knew you were someone that was always going to do really well. It was just a matter of time of you kind of realizing that for yourself and then grabbing that torch and running with it. And I think what's been a big privilege for Pat and I is that, especially since you've transitioned here and you've been around so many different people, you've flourished in all these other goals that you had, and it's just awesome to see you run with this torch. Before we were holding the torch together, and then all three of us held it together, and then you're like, all right guys, I'm still here, but I'm gonna run this torch and I'm gonna conquer more things. And you're blogging, you've started Pole at Pole Divas. You're traveling, you went on a massive solo trip to overseas.
Yes.
Yeah.
3 years of saving it took me to take that trip. And I always said 2018, that's when I'm going to Ireland and France. And everyone around me said, oh, that's nice. And I'd hear, when they thought I wasn't listening, she won't do it. She can't save that much. She won't be able to do it. And then I did it, and when I sat on my apartment in Cork in Ireland, I took that selfie like, I'm in Ireland. It was like, yep, I proved you all wrong.
Yeah.
So you're pretty, me and Hilal have set a lot of goals with you, and your percentage of completing the goals and achieving it is very high. What secrets can you share with our audience today to achieving goals? Big goals, small goals, medium goals. How do you get there to the end? Because it's hard.
I think with goals, it can be very easy to get caught up in big numbers. Or one goal a while back when I used to still ride my bike before I got quite injured, was I wanted to do a 100k bike ride, and I was training for that. I didn't train smart, I trained hard, and I got injured. And just due to various things, I actually couldn't complete the 100Ks. I did 65Ks, which on a push bike is pretty damn good, particularly when you're riding up the Dandenongs. But in my mind, it was a failure because I didn't do the 100Ks. And then I was at home and I mentioned it to my dad, and my dad said, but you got on the bike. Most people don't even get on the bike. And so the point of goals, it's very easy to get caught up in that big number, 100 Ks, 100 kilos, whatever it happens to be for you personally. But every big goal is made up of small goals. With that ride, I got on the bike. Most people don't even get off the couch. I got on the bike.
Get on the bike. Oh, I gotta leave the couch to get on the bike. I don't have a bike, I gotta buy a bike.
And then it was...
My TV show's on.
And then it was, do the training rides. And I did. And then it was get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning, to drive to the Dandenongs.
Wow.
To start the race at 5 o'clock in the morning. And then it was when you get, and so little goals getting there, and then you get to the bottom of this hill and you have a drink and you're like, oh, and then you realize you're at the bottom of a hill and the hill was about that steep, like that, and you're just like, oh shit, now I gotta climb the hill. But you just, what I found with that ride was I just had to keep going because I knew if I stopped, I wouldn't start again. And so it's just about keeping going, because sometimes what I found, I remember saying this to you once at Good Life, your mind will always tell you to quit before your body will. And that's not to say you should be running your body into the ground or ignoring any cues to stop, but your mind will tell you, yep, we've had enough now. Your body actually still has plenty of energy to put in, and because the mind is really, really good at keeping you alive.
Yeah.
You know, that's its job. And the mind can't distinguish between a really challenging workout that's pushing you and something dangerous that might need to be stopped. So it goes, yep, okay, we've had enough, we need to conserve energy. Because your mind still doesn't know that it was 10,000 years ago we had to run from saber-toothed tigers. It still thinks we're cavemen. It hasn't evolved beyond that. So it wants to conserve energy, but your body can just keep going. That's not to say you should push yourself beyond your limits.
As long as there's no pain and it's just more discomfort and the huffing and the puffing and all that stuff. Yeah,
so
100%.
I would say for goals, you can have that big goal, but be proud of the small ones that you achieve along the way. And if you don't get that big number, it's like, okay, well, what can I do differently next time? Unfortunately for me, just due to injuries, I haven't been able to do the kind of riding that I'd like to do, but that's how I got into weights and then got into pole dancing. So sometimes things lead to another. The path might be winding, but you'll get there in the end. Celebrate the small goals.
Well,
Definitely.
if you look at it like this, with that ride, it was a big ride, yeah? So you didn't do the ride, but that transition
She did it, but she did 65Ks of it.
Yeah, well, the big ride,
Yeah.
So that transitioned you into doing things like deadlifts, barbell squats. So what are the numbers that what are some of the proud number achievements that you hit with weights?
I think the first thing that I was really proud of was way back in my first weights program.
Yeah.
I couldn't squat, people. I actually couldn't barbell squat in my first weights program. I didn't have the mobility or the strength. And Hilal had me doing hip thrusts, weighted hip thrusts instead.
Right.
Oh my God, I remember this.
And last week in this challenge, I did some hip thrusts as an exercise, and I was thrusting 25 kilos. Back in my very first weights program, that was my big hip thrust number, 25 kilos.
Yeah.
I went from body weight at the beginning of, I think they were 8-week programs then.
Nah, still 12.
They were
Still 12.
Yeah. So I went from
Yeah.
body weight to 25 kilos.
And you actually hip
thrust.
thrusted 30 the other day.
And so then,
You've bet it.
Yeah, so then last week, just as a general exercise, I'm just casually hip thrusting. And I haven't done it for yonks.
And after your squats.
Yeah, and so now I barbell squat. My proudest barbell squat moment, I think I've hit 65.
Yeah.
Is my big one, which I'm aiming for 80 this program.
Yeah.
80 on the barbell squat. That was really big for me because the big thing with weights is once you start lifting your body weight, then it starts to get a bit exciting. So I'm not showing my weight, I'm about 66. So that 65 squat was awesome, and sometimes this one sneakily puts little 1 kilo weights on the end to make sure that I really am squatting myself.
Our lovely ones.
Those 1 kilo weights look really cute until they go on the end of a bar and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
For deadlifts, I've been trapped by deadlifting up until this program. My 112 still sits in my head as my my ultimate goal.
That happened what, 4 months ago?
Yeah, about 4 months
And
ago.
I remember you fought hard for that one. It was not easy.
This program, I was hoping for 115, but I've since moved to the conventional deadlift from the trap bar, and that's learning a new technique, so learning different grips, different balance, working similar muscles in a slightly different way. So I'm hoping for 100 on the conventional.
And for people watching at home, a trap bar deadlift it's like the little brother to the conventional deadlift. It's people to get started. Once they start progressing, their mobility is better. They move on to the conventional deadlift.
They're stronger.
They're stronger. It's a very functional way of lifting off the ground. And for you, we did 70 just last night. So that's a big jump from
awesome.
30 a few weeks ago, actually.
Yeah, when I started conventional deadlifting.
Awesome. So that's some of the results you've achieved with Hilal at EP.
And us together.
Us together. I'm the scary old man. That's right.
No, not scary anymore.
And so there's other things that you do outside this, this fitness journey of yours. Like you do a meditation course right now.
Yes. So I'm actually training as a meditation teacher at the moment with the Australian College of Holistic Studies. I've been meditating sort of on and off for about 3 years or so. It's really assisted me with many things in my life. There's just no end to the benefits of meditation, and it was something I wanted to share with the world. And I've just been learning a lot about myself through doing this course, and just because when you start to meditate, at first it feels nice, but as you get more into it, it brings up a lot of things, because as you're just sitting or doing your drawing, or I did dancing meditation the other day, which was amazing, things come up that you've been hiding for a while, because as your body sort of starts and your mind starts to let go of those barriers you've put up, things start to come up. And so it can be very confronting as you get deeper into the meditation, but it's about learning to, because in Western culture, we're very much about suppressing things we don't like and pushing them away and not dealing with them. So is it really any wonder that we're so unhappy, really?
Yeah.
And so it's about breaking out of that cultural mold and saying, it's okay to feel sad and angry and unhappy, but it's about what I'm doing about it. Because squishing it is not good, because it'll come back. But it's like, okay, can I just sit with it? Can I feel it? Do I need to go and bang my pillow, or go and have somewhere to have a good cry, or do I need to call a friend? Things like that. When those kind of things come up, and meditation can bring up really positive emotions too, but often we need to move through the negative before we can reach the positive, and that can be a stumbling block for people.
Wow.
Awesome.
And also you do pole as well.
I do. I love my pole dancing.
So people that have no idea what pole dancing is, could you give them a description of what you do?
So a lot of people, when you think of pole dancing, will think of exotic dancers in clubs, which shout out, I am totally I'm not having a go at exotic dancers. I'm totally positive. Go, you amazing women and men who get up there and do that. That's your job. You're quite entitled to make your living. But the pole that I do is sort of fitness-based, really, sports and fitness-based. So we go to a dance studio. It is women only, but men who are interested can do private classes there as well. So it's totally gender positive. And you start, so I go to Pole Divas, which a lot of people have heard of. And you start at the beginner level, just learning how to do your walks and your turns, and things like that, and then you progress up through the levels.
You really like a challenge, don't you?
I do enjoy a challenge, and finding pole also helped me develop a lot of body confidence. Like often people say, I want to do pole, but those shorts, the heels, the tops, I'm not sure. But when you're seeing pole dancers in those shorts and in those crop tops and in those heels, they started exactly where you were, feeling like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like when I started pole, I wore just ordinary gym shorts. But over time, as you start learning more tricks, you need a bit more skin. That's all it is. There's this perception that we wear the little booty shorts because it's sexy, which it is, by the way. But we wear those shorts because we need our thighs to grip. It's quite simple. You grip on with your thighs for a lot of tricks. The crop tops help because you get hot dancing. You're moving around a lot. There's 15 poles in Studio A. So imagine 15 women all dancing in a room with one air conditioner in a concrete warehouse.
The guys are like, where is this place?
Well, they'll never get through the front door, gentlemen.
So you challenge yourself. Like, no wonder you've done this yoga marble challenge.
Yes.
So, Hilal, could you got your phone there? Bring up the photos of what Juliana's doing right now.
Okay,
Like we could tell you, but we could probably show you.
do that right now.
Yeah, there I am.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you found this on Instagram?
Yeah, so one of the people I follow on Instagram, he does a lot of various yoga challenges, and I'm a big fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but please no spoilers because I'm very behind on my movie watching, and a friend inadvertently gave me an Infinity War spoiler, which made me not want to watch.
So your first photo was who?
So the first challenge, the first day of the challenge was the Hulk.
Yeah! We love the Hulk.
So there
Can you see
I
it?
am,
I hope you can see it. That's the Hulk.
being the Hulk. Purple pants and a green top, and the pose is goddess pose.
Put that on too.
Yeah, so that's the goddess pose.
Yeah, it was day 2.
It's called goddess. So day 2,
This one?
yeah. Day 2 is Hawkeye. Hawkeye is my favorite Avenger. I feel he's often overlooked, but he's amazing. I love the fact that he's just so human, and he's not afraid to be human in amongst all the superheroes. And yes, and I've got my 2 little Hawkeyes there in the background. Me and my Hawkeyes saving the world, yoga style.
Day 3.
So day 3 is today, which was Doctor Strange.
That is great.
So I got really into that, got a bit dressed up. And that is half lotus. The pose for today was actually supposed to be full lotus, but I don't have the hip mobility for full lotus yet.
And what's tomorrow's episode?
Tomorrow is Iron Man.
Your favourite?
No, I hate Iron Man so much. He is a self-indulgent, narcissistic prick. Oh shit!
Tell us how you really
hate
feel.
him. So I'm not going to be dressing up as Iron Man tomorrow. I've got a costume lined up. I'll still do the pose, but
You refuse to wear the
wow, that's
costume.
how much you don't like him.
I hate him. I hate him so much. I was so disappointed when Captain America and the Winter Soldier didn't manage to kill him at the end of Civil War. I was like, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Far
Tell
out.
us how you really feel. Oh my God. Who's your favourite character?
Tell us your favorite Marvel
My
is.
favorite Marvel character out of all of them is the Winter Soldier, or Bucky Barnes. He sort of grew on me, I have to admit. At first he was just sort of this background character for me, but when I started doing weight training again, I was sort of trying to find a theme, something that
Do you have it
I
here?
could relate to. Unfortunately not.
Yeah. So what she does in her weight training classes, she has a diary, and in that diary is a photo of her and her Winter Soldier arms that we've all created. You got a photo of it?
You guys keep talking.
And while she deadlift, I do it when you squat.
Not when I squat, because I've got I
Yeah,
can't
you
look
can't
down.
look at it. So when she does her deadlifts, or some other lifts that she does, she's got a photo of her doing these ones with a photo of the Winter Soldier as well. That's like a ritual that you've created to help you with. Is that more mentally?
Yeah, so the Winter Soldier became my weightlifting theme because I wanted to focus on my arms. I wanted to build some muscle there. And for those that are not familiar with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Winter Soldier has a titanium arm. And so I used that as my theme, and he slowly grew on me. Just his, he goes and he doesn't stop till he succeeds. So that was what I really brought into it, and he grew on me as a character, and very deep character as well. Marvel, there are some quite shallow characters, but he's certainly not one of them.
Is that so?
It's not there. It's
Show them the
right
video.
there.
Yeah, that's her lifting last night.
This is Juliana's. Wait.
But
Where's the? Did you get her 70?
It's on my Insta.
That's right.
70.
Yeah, anyway, she has a diary, she looks at it, and it helps
her
her through her
lifting last
sets.
night.
You know how I know this shit works? Because there was a day that she didn't do it,
Yes.
and she was all over the shop. I'm like, stump things up with this picture. She's not lifting like she usually is, and it was all it was a ritual.
Yeah, I
It
had
was ritual.
left my book in my weight bag, and Pat realised, and he went over to my weight bag, and he put it in front of me, and it wasn't in quite the right position, but it just clicked something over in my brain, and it fixed.
Yeah. Like,
It's the same. I meditate before every lifting session as well, and the couple of times I haven't done it, my lifting has suffered.
yeah. Well, your mind's all over the place, and as much as you do challenge yourself, as much as you achieve amazing results, just like Hawkeye, you're human as well, and things get tough, and everyone does need a support network and a support team.
Yep, absolutely.
So we'll have you back, always. Now we're gonna play a little game.
Okay.
Okay, this
Sure.
game, we don't have a name for it. We just yell at a name or yell at a word, and you reply with one word. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Okay, let me have a drink of water first.
Yeah, go.
I've been talking a lot.
I'm gonna drink too.
Hello, what you got there?
I think I got my coconut water.
Yay!
Electrolytes, better than sugar drinks.
Yeah.
And I swear this is just plain water, people. I promise, I'm not hiding any vodka in here.
Okay, so, all right, hello, you want me to start?
Yeah, you start.
Emily.
Amazing.
Oh, take that up.
Let's. Oh my gosh. Backbend.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Andrew.
Oh my fucking god.
What about Andrew? Okay, break that
Let's. Paul Glasson.
If there was one person at EP who has been someone who I look up to, it would be him.
There's a lot of words.
That's awesome.
You can't. Paul is not someone you can just have one word, okay? Paul, you are amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Send that to him. Snip that one out. Julie.
Exactly like a husband.
Yeah.
Oh, you're like
Wow,
that
you're
one.
taking
You're
a lot
like-
of the.
Oh, sorry, go. Sorry, mate.
Summer days.
Inside with the aircon.
Shalini. She's rattling up everyone's names.
Supportive.
Peppermint.
Yum.
Yum.
Mark.
Wow.
She's rattling
Everyone's
it up.
Determined.
Dinosaurs.
My favorite.
Pole.
The best thing ever.
Business class flights.
So worth it.
Yeah.
Iron Man.
Yuck.
Oh, magic.
Yeah.
Next adventure.
Planning to go to Turkey.
Oh my gosh! That is awesome! Oh, that's so cool!
If you didn't know, she's Turkish.
Cypriot Turkish, yes. Same.
Goals.
Start small.
Yes. The Lord of the Rings.
Addicted.
Okay. All right, one more each.
One more each.
Okay. The Rock.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, mate. I was teeing that up for you to say my name.
Yeah, funny.
No pressure, lads. Only the last one, the best one, the most meaningful.
Evolving physiques.
The best gym in the world.
Love
Yes,
it.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, we like to ask people this question
Yep.
at the end of the show. Now, there is always someone that gets motivated and inspired by a member here from results, from some of the challenges they've had, whether it be physical, mental, or whatever it is. What type of advice would you give to someone watching this video, doesn't know where to start, it's getting really cold? If they were thinking about joining a gym like this, what would you say to these guys?
So I would say to anyone looking at starting at any gym, be it a commercial gym or somewhere like this, just go along and see what the atmosphere is like. Any good gym is going to want to show you around and let you have a peek into the classes and let you see around the place, let you look at things and test things out. So just go have a look around, see if you like the feel of the place. If you don't, then don't bother, because you're never going to get that energy you need to exercise. If they don't want to show you, walk away, because you don't want to get involved in that.
Yeah.
But if you like it, then start small. Maybe one class a week. Do you like yoga? Do you like boxing? Do you like whatever it happens to be? And just start small and go from there.
Beautiful.
What if someone has fears regarding like exercise? What kind of advice would you give someone that has just a fear of exercising and failing and not doing well.
Yeah, no, so like walking into any kind of fitness related environment can be quite challenging. And certainly I know that in today's environment of heavily body shaming, walking into a gym's not easy, particularly when all the advertisements show nice skinny people who don't need to go to the gym anyway. Often we come in feeling very self-conscious, very body conscious. So dress in what's comfortable for you. You don't need to walk into that gym in really tight gym gear. You can just wear your nice loose shirts, trackies, whatever's comfortable for you. And, you know, just say to the instructor or the trainer or whatever, you know, a bit nervous being here today. They will want to make you feel welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just, well, they should. If they don't, then you want to find somewhere else.
Yeah. And why should people come to Evolving Physiques?
People should come to Evolving Physiques. Evolving Physiques is not a gym, it's a family.
Yeah.
And we're all here to support each other. There's no sideways glances, there's no clicks, there's no hogging equipment. Equipment hogs are the worst.
Yeah, really, I didn't even think of that. There are no, put that in your marketing. No one hogging equipment here.
Yeah.
No, but it's a very supportive place. It's all about coming in and doing you. It's not about coming in and doing gym.
Yes. Good one, Jules.
We're done, mate. We're done. Can you say that one more time?
It's about coming in and doing you. It's not about doing gym.
Whoa.
That's
Shut
awesome.
it down. Thank you so much, Juliana.
Oh, yay!
And we're out. That's it for the Pat and Lyle Show.